healthcare than the next 10 nations combined. 20% of our gross national product goes into health-related expenses, and yet the U.S. ranks pretty low in several key health categories.
One problem, critics say, is that we tend to focus on treating disease rather than preventing it. 70% of Americans take prescription medications, but we pay far less attention to better nutrition, which could help prevent illness. Tonight, George Knapp of the I-Team gives us an inside look at a cutting-edge vitamin company whose founder thinks American health is being held hostage to profits.
So we are the first and maybe the only nutraceutical company in America to have this latest, greatest technology.
Wayne Gorsek is justifiably proud of the high-tech wonderland of a facility he's built in Las Vegas. He's not a doctor, but his Dr. Vita brand is vying to set a new standard for the supplement industry, which has had its share of problems. The operation is a maze of stainless steel and glass and has as many quality controls and safety measures as a drug company facility, in part because Gorsek sees them as the real competition.
We're now spending $3 trillion a year, in excess of $3 trillion a year on health care, $330 billion a year on drugs, which most of them have deadly side effects. They don't cure anything in most examples.
Big Pharma and American medicine are almost schizophrenic when it comes to vitamins and supplements. Thousands of scientific studies have documented specific health benefits from optimal levels of vitamins and nutrients. Surveys show that most medical professionals use supplements themselves, but the official position of the establishment is that they do no good. To confuse things even more, Gorsek says Big Pharma now owns nearly all of the major brands of supplements. Most of the multivitamins are all but worthless, he alleges, because the amount of active ingredients packed into a single tablet is far too low to be of much benefit. His company produces what Gorsek says is a far superior product, but it's difficult to get it on the shelves of major retailers.
The drug industry throws so much money at the retailers to control that shelf space, and then they throw so much money at marketing on TV and magazines and you name it.
Big Pharma spends $24 billion per year on marketing, more than is spent on drug research, and it goes not only into TV ads for specific drugs, but also in all sorts of payments to doctors, medical schools, everyone. The industry earns billions in profits by selling products that kill more than 100,000 Americans per year, which prompted some critics to label it as the new mafia. Gorsek says the drug companies play rough. When doctors in Australia complained about side effects from the now infamous drug Vioxx, its makers plotted ways to, quote, neutralize or discredit the critics.
Here are the companies I trust.
TV's popular Dr. Oz, who often advocates the use of supplements, was recently blasted by a panel of doctors, nearly all of whom had financial links to drug companies. Gorsek says the FDA, which supposedly regulates the drug companies, is an ally instead.
A lot of the people that control and run the FDA come out of the pharmaceutical industry or go into the pharmaceutical industry, have ties to the pharmaceutical industry, and they want to make the drugs are really a monopoly on treating disease.
The FDA is ostensibly neutral on vitamins. On its website, it advises consumers to beware, prohibits sellers from making specific health claims, and will go after supplements that are either contaminated or otherwise harmful. Gorsek says his facility exceeds all FDA standards. He even pays to have periodic inspections by an independent authority, NSF, which makes the results public. Gorsek thinks the only way America will ever get a handle on runaway health costs is by focusing on prevention instead of more costly treatment. Supplements could reduce disease, he says, which might be the reason they are denigrated by the medical industry.
You could reduce healthcare costs, disease rates 50+% based on the published medical literature, and that would take half of their income and maybe 80% of their profits, the doctors, the drug companies, the hospitals, and take it out of their pockets and back into the consumers' pockets.
George Knapp, 8 News Now.
The Dr. Vita brand is sold mostly online. Wayne Gorsek says the only retailer which carries another of his brands is Costco. His advice when choosing what supplements to take is to avoid the standard multivitamins and instead look for supplements which offer many times the official minimum daily requirements. It requires consumers to do a bit of research on their own. We have several links on our website and a lot more information about both sides in the great vitamin debate.